I've been told I'm one of Warzone's best snipers, so I'm going to teach you all the tricks I've learned to hit shots like these. There's a guy right here. Going for a quick kill.
Exactly, hack.
Welcome to Warzone Bootcamp!
First things first, we're going to be talking about positioning in Warzone whenever you're using a sniper rifle. The big thing is that you remember that where you're positioned is always going to be the most important factor for determining whether you're forced to play a gunfight, aggressive or non-aggressive. If you're out in the open like we are now, you're going to have to use a more aggressive tactic like quick scoping, bunny hopping, or exiting vehicles or something like that to eliminate your enemy. If you're in cover, especially high ground, you'll be able to use non-aggressive tactics like jump shots or Peeker's advantage. Next, let's cover jump shots. So let's say you're standing right there and I'm standing over at this rock. Now I know that you're there. So what I'm going to do is basically jump over this rock, right? So jump shots should be used whenever you have like tall cover in front of you, but there's someone in the distance that you can hit. Basically, it's jump, shoot, like mid jump. It's really not that hard to do. You just need to like prepare and find where the enemy's at and be able to adjust your aim mid jump, which is where having something like a scuff is going to come in handy. In this situation, you can see that using a jump shot allowed me to shoot the enemy in a place I would not have been able to shoot them before. One of my personal favorite things to do is bunny hop. I don't know how many of you all have seen my intro to this series, but we talked about basic movement, and bunny hopping was one of those. Bunny hopping is basically when you run straight forward and then you jump and turn sideways at the same time, and when you're landing, you hit the jump again. Now that can be like super useful for sniping, because say someone's like around a corner. If you want to run around a corner, jump, and then bunny hop, you can actually hit like a shot while making it very difficult for your enemy to hit you. Okay, we're not sliding here, Bolo. Come on now. Get it together.
Sorry.
There's no sliding. You'll get it. It takes time. Just practice it whenever you get the chance. Practice. This is a perfect example of a bunny hop. And even though we didn't hit the enemy, it still shows how you can use this movement to your advantage. Next, let's talk about exiting vehicles while sniping. Exiting vehicles and having your sniper equipped can be really helpful. If you quickly jump out of your vehicle while you're being shot at from a distance by someone that has like an assault rifle and you have a sniper rifle, you'll most likely be able to kill them because you properly pre-aim that area. So say you're in a vehicle, what you want to do is kind of center your aim towards where the enemy is already. So you'll aim that direction. Whenever you jump out, you're already there, and then you just shoot. In our next section, we'll be talking about how to aim properly with a sniper, starting with what you should always be doing, practicing. How many of you guys, like before you get on, will actually practice your aiming, or do you jump right into the game? Near, what do you start with?
If I'm hopping into Rebirth, then I just warm up like with the first 2 matches.
Bolo, do you start with a little bit of practice, or do you hop straight into the game?
I pretty much hop straight into the game.
Right, too fat, too furious.
I usually just hop right into Rebirth, but I practice with a little bit of aim lab sometimes.
Ooh, you heard him there. He practices with aim lab. That is a big deal, ladies and gentlemen. Practicing an aim lab can be largely beneficial whenever it comes to learning to snipe and quickly snap to your target's head. They have plenty of modes in there that you can try out, like from top to bottom, like things that you can, snap from target to target. You can just quickly, snap from the center to the outside, like spider shot. They have grid shot, like all of these things, and they also have tracking. That way you can get better across the board. So that's why I use aim lab personally. Centering your aim is super important. Let's talk about it. Centering is when you hold your crosshairs to the center, like right around someone's head, because you actually aim and shoot from your head. So if you keep it at around head height, you'll get more kills. So kind of just keep it there so that when you aim down, you're good. You also can center on enemies that are like up in a window and stuff like that. So just center wherever you think they're going to be, which kind of brings me into the next thing, which is pre-aiming. So pre-aiming is going to be used when you have knowledge that an enemy's there or in a specific spot basically, and you want to pre-aim exactly where they are in hopes of being set on their head or body. So with centering and pre-aiming together, if you're already centered where you should be, which is like chest to head, you'll be able to pre-aim someone. Like if they want to jump around a corner, you'll be centered where their head is, and then you can pre-aim that corner and you can snap directly to their head as soon as you aim down sight with your sniper and hit a quick scope on them. So that's going to be massively helpful. It's also helpful whenever you're exiting vehicles if you want to jump out of the vehicle while you're already aimed at the enemy. Next, let's talk about quick scoping and hard scoping. Quick scoping, for people that don't know, is going to be aiming down sights where you barely see the inside of your scope. So it's just like a little bit, and then you shoot. But you've been utilizing your pre-aiming and your centering. That way you hit a really good headshot or a chest shot or something like that. Say, you know, you're right there, but you're running at me and you start shooting at me. I'm going to quickly aim down and try and hit your head over and over, you know, like something like that. That's a quick scope. You want to make sure you see your scope though, because if you don't, it can miss immensely, and it'll still kind of count as a no scope. So that will kind of screw things up. Obviously, with quick scoping, we have the other side, which is hard scoping. And a big thing for hard scoping is you're just being patient. Being patient when you have your sights on the enemy, it can be very beneficial. So don't be scared to hard scope. Don't be scared to look at someone for a long period of time. The only thing is you have to keep in mind that you have a glint on your sniper. When you ADS, the enemy's going to see a glint on your sniper, especially if you have a sniper scope. So don't aim down too long, especially if they start looking your direction. Let off the aim and then aim down again whenever, you know, you're ready to do so. A lot of you may wonder, when should I hold my breath? When do you guys start holding your breath when you snipe? Do you guys wait after you aim down to like kind of press the button to hold your breath, or do you do it immediately? What do you say, Near?
Almost immediately. Depending on the situation, though.
All right, Mr. Bolo.
Definitely. I sometimes feel like I hold it too much, but I immediately hold it.
Too fat, too furious.
Usually I hit it right away if I'm trying to hit a shot, but if I'm just trying to peek at somebody, I won't even touch it.
Personally, I coincide aiming down and holding my breath, and it happens literally at the exact same time. As soon as I'm aiming down, Q on my keyboard is to hold my breath, so I'll immediately press it. It's literally just like, it's habit at this point, unless I'm just quick scoping. Then I just don't do it. But as soon as I aim down, it's just I press the button at the exact same time. A couple of the most important things while sniping is going to be flicking as well as drag scoping. Obviously, whenever you're sniping, there's going to be times where you're not on the target, where you're not perfectly centered, where you're not perfectly pre-aimed. The best thing you can do at that point is flick. Say you've got a target on, you know, I have to go from Bolo to Too Fat, Too Furious over here. I'm going to aim down like a little bit off, but you just flick over to where the person's at. That's where like it's going to come in handy to have like a higher sensitivity on your ADS, but it's completely up to you as to whether or not that's helpful. If you're on controller, it doesn't really matter, but if you're on mouse and keyboard, it does kind of matter. But flicking, it's all about learning your sensitivity and learning how useful it's going to be for you personally. Very helpful in most situations. I do it all the time. You'll see it on my streams. It's like a super fast movement and you can't even really tell what's going on, but most of the time, because of like whether or not you have like good latency or whatever, that's when you hit your shots. That's why I personally prefer to have really good latency, because I like to snipe, so I'll hit my shots more when I'm flicking. You should definitely take a look at AimLab's sniper shot task, as it's extremely relevant to getting better with snipers. You can actually practice all of these flicking shots with ADS and movement. The movement would not be one-to-one with Warzone, but it does still help. Everyone's biggest question is about leading shots. Let's talk about it. I know a lot of people have problems with this, but it is actually not as hard as you think. It's just that making sure that you practice with the build that you have to figure out what everything is. However, cool thing is there's actually a really nice website where you can figure out what each sniper does in terms of leading and bullet velocity and stuff like that, and that is tvwarzone.com. If you want, you can actually go to that website, check out what they have going on there, and you can see every single sniper and the lead time for like vehicles, for characters running, for characters standing still at like different distances. It's really, really cool, honestly. But again, it all comes down to practicing with the sniper that you like to use the most. Like say if you want to use the Swiss, the Kar 98K, practice with that sniper, figure out the lead times, and you'll be able to kind of do it by feel in most situations, which is how I'm shooting people out of the sky in a lot of the videos that I do. And lastly, let's talk about a couple of settings that can really make a difference on how well you snipe. The last thing I'll say is settings wise, I highly recommend that you check out in your settings your auto tac sprint, because it can actually make your ADS a little bit slower, because going from auto tac sprint to ADS is a little slower than say going from regular tac sprint, or regular sprint, I guess, to ADS. I think it's slightly slower, or just from like regular walk. So if you have anything automatic, it's going to be slower. Just keep that in mind. And personally, I'll let you guys know on controller, I use my high zoom at a 1, and I use linear for my controller aim curve. And then on mouse and keyboard, I use a 0.5 for my high zoom ADS. This is all high zoom, by the way, just so you know. If you like this video, you may enjoy our last Warzone Bootcamp focused on how to improve your aim tremendously. Make sure to subscribe for more Warzone Bootcamp.